Hey everyone, this is Luke Thomas. I'm the founder of Friday, the tool, not the day of the week. And I'd like to start by reviewing this recent article I read. I'm thinking about kind of doing mini rants on things that I come across on the interwebs, especially as it pertains to kind of remote work, future of work, and other topics of interest. So this is the inaugural edition of that. So I recently came across this study that Microsoft just produced about how remote work impacts collaboration. And so what they did was they looked at people using their tools across their customer base, and they came up with some interesting trends that I think are worth addressing, especially as everyone is working from home right now. So the first thing that really stood out from my perspective is this very vaguely coded section called Meetings Morph. And what they say is really, it's more like you just spend more time in meetings, right? So check this out. So when people close their work offices and open up their home offices, our weekly meeting time suddenly jumped 10%. This translates to an average of 3 additional meetings per week per employee. Roughly 7 out of 10 employees experienced at least some increase in meetings. And the increase did not discriminate by function, so they saw it across all the different lines of business. So, as they mentioned, it didn't surprise them. Here's an interesting quote I found a bit fascinating that kind of pokes at the root cause here. I can't wander over to someone's desk or connect over coffee in the kitchen. As a result, I think I spend a lot more time in meetings. Well, who typically books meetings? I would argue it's oftentimes the manager. And we can get into this in another section in a minute, but when people feel disconnected, a meeting is one of the immediate tools in the toolbox where people will deploy it so that they can understand what's going on at work, right? So here there's kind of this absence of random kind of water cooler conversations. There's this lack of learning and observation through osmosis. And as a result, people feel the need to have a meeting to make up for it. As you may recall, a lot of meetings are massive wastes of time. And so, yeah, this is, I would consider this to be a little bit of a problem if the meetings are inefficient, right? So what they've also mentioned is that the short meetings increase while the long meetings decrease. Pretty interesting. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit and show you, you can see the quick check-ins also increased. So we found one-on-ones increased by 18% and check-ins and team social meetings grew by 10%. Another interesting piece is the role of instant messaging, right? Because what Microsoft has is they have access to your calendar data. They have access to usage patterns in Microsoft Teams. Well, let's take a look at what happened. Remote teams ended up sending a lot more instant messaging. Our data showed a dramatic 72% increase in instant messages sent during the work from home period, with the largest increase spanning from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., aka working hours. This surge was particularly noticeable among managers, who sent 115% more instant messaging during March 2020, while ICs, their message quantity jumped more than 50%. So here's another anecdote, well, not anecdote, but data point that indicates what I consider to be the root cause of these massive spikes in meetings and instant messaging. Here's the deal. When people are not all together in the same room, they feel disconnected. They don't have as much data that they can process. So as a result, they feel like they're missing out. And what do they resort to? Well, if you're a manager, you resort to holding more meetings, or you end up pinging people on your team, checking in, asking what's going on, what people are working on, which, here's the deal. I'm not against workplace chat or meetings, but here is a very clear indication that this type of activity is unsustainable as more and more people work remotely. So as I will get into in another future video, this is really, people are at kind of phase 1 of this remote work evolution. Over time, remote teams will shift the burden more and more to written communication or asynchronous communication. This very clearly indicates that people are trying to figure things out. So I hope you enjoyed this first little episode, and as I find more and more interesting articles online, I will try to do a bit of commentary as well. Have a great rest of your day.